He acknowledges he engaged in lewd behavior with several women. He's apologized for that. Meanwhile, professional enabler Lisa Bloom, ambulance chaser if there ever was one, allegedly tried to silence and discredit the victims of Harvey Weinstein. She's making a half-hearted effort to apologize and make it go away. Here's what she said.
Let me say, I very much regret ever being involved in this. I'm mortified that I was connected with him in any way. And all the people who have reached out to me to say, Lisa, you know, we're hurt, we're disappointed in you. Like, I get it, and I'm very, very sorry. I will tell you that when the sexual assault allegations came out, it was absolutely devastating to read those stories of all those women who went on the record with those stories for the first time. And I've represented women like that for 31 years. I still do. I know the courage that it takes. And I was just shocked. I think like we all were.
That's a lie, by the way. She was paid cash money to discredit those accusers. And the question is she going to return the money? How much was she paid? Single most disingenuous television appearance of the year, and that's saying a lot. Well, it's no surprise that the LAPD has formed a special task force to investigate sex crimes in Hollywood. Tammy Bruce is a radio show host, and she joins us tonight. So, Tammy, there are a couple different tracks here. First, to the Roy Moore story. I read the story in the Washington Post, a paper I never read. And, you know, some of it sounds true to me, actually. I mean, some of the women may dislike him politically. One of them is a Trump voter. You know, people on the record with no obvious political animus. The problem is that and I think a lot of other people, so distrust the media that even when maybe what they're reporting is correct, it's hard to know exactly. And maybe that's one of the costs of the press just abandoning objectivity completely. Nobody believes anything anymore.
Yeah, that's their abandonment of their responsibility and their duty. And it's happened clearly over a period of actually a couple of decades. You could even argue all the way back to Walter Cronkite and the misleading regarding the Vietnam War. That's what we're hearing, and that's what I'm seeing in social media and the larger discussions, is that the voters there really think it is another establishment hit job. If there's any kind of question, they don't trust the media, and so they dismiss it in that fashion as well. And then, of course, the Washington Post has been really exclusively political. They endorsed, of course, the Democrat. They are obviously very against the president and Republicans. So they've been very politically active. They don't have, I think, the credibility of being just reporters and people who report the news. So it's very much like a political blog.
It's a shame. It's a shame because I thought their story sounded credible to me. I don't have any other information, but if you took the Washington Post off it, I would think that's, you know, you got women on the record. I take that seriously, and I think that's horrible, disqualifying behavior if true. But the fact the Post printed it, this just shows that when you devalue your credibility over a period of time, there's a cost to that.
And not just that, though, but also what we've seen over a period of time when it comes to what accusations are made, and sometimes serious accusations made on an important issue and used like a political cudgel. So, you know, we see what's going on in Hollywood, and people see patterns when it comes to sexual predators. And if this is true regarding Judge Moore, then he would be a predator, and we would see more accusations. And this is why this weekend is important. But normally, what you see, because this is like potato chips. You don't do just one, right? You have these patterns of a number of women over a period of years, similar actions, and the ubiquitous everybody knows, right? We don't see that at this point with Judge Moore, and this is also why people are questioning it, because it seems to be so out of character. We will learn more over the weekend, but ultimately the voters of Alabama will decide. Yeah. But we all need to kind of go home and bathe in Purell when it comes to what the news of the day has been lately.
It's disgusting, and I'm fascinated not just by the perpetrators of some of these apparent crimes, but by the people who knew and didn't say anything. So in the case of Louis C.K., who seems like a pretty troubled guy, to put it mildly, Jon Stewart was asked last year, he was doing an interview with David Axelrod, I think at the University of Chicago, and he was asked pretty directly about this and laughed. Yeah. I don't know anything about that. You know, what are you talking about? It sounds like everybody knew a lot about it. Is Jon Stewart, is that credible that he didn't know this? Why would he laugh about that?
You know, I think that sometimes you can be conveniently ignorant, or you pretend you don't know. It's like O.J. Simpson is maybe still looking for the real killers, and you can convince yourself. But over a year and a half ago, about a year and a half ago, Roseanne Barr, the comedian Roseanne Barr, gave an interview where she was very specific about Louis C.K. and said, that guy's a problem. Look at this guy. This is an issue. And nobody cared, Tucker. And now we do know, of course, that everybody does know. But these are individuals who make a lot of money for people. They're agents and they're managers, people that work in productions involved with them. So and this is why when the LAPD or the district attorney in LA says they're starting up a task force, you have to laugh, because it's the Hollywood industry that are their major donors, that no one there is objective when it comes to making decisions about what needs to happen here. Maybe the federal government, not that we trust them a great deal, needs to act, but certainly Los Angeles, the politicians in California are the last people we should look to for justice in this regard.
There are a lot of people in television and politics and entertainment who are really creepy in their personal lives and just weird and unhappy. And maybe we can do a segment next week about why that is. It's an interesting. I mean, have you noticed this? You've been around this stuff your whole life. It's not a cross-section of America. It's like all the weird people wound up in front of cameras. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I grew up in it, and I don't use the word victim a lot, but was a victim to some degree of this dynamic. So there's a lot going on, and yeah, I'd like to explore that with you.
It would be fun. Tammy Bruce.